In the 60s, we saw 3 wars against our common culture as Americans. We saw a war on religion, where we scrubbed our schools from any reference to God. At the same time, we saw a war on marriage, to where we told feminists that you can leave the household, you don't need a man anymore. And then we saw a war on poverty that began to pay those that were already in the straits when it came to developing our relationships of marriage, and told them that they didn't have to marry, they didn't have to work, nor did they have to save any money, and the government would take care of them. And that's an idea of progressivism, and now it's really hurting us as a nation, and it's hurting the individuals.
Star Parker, when did you develop your political philosophy?
It was a transition into my philosophy, let's just say. I actually bought all the ideas of the left. I talk about it in Blind Conceit, how I believed what we hear today, that the poor are poor because the wealthy are wealthy. I believed that my problems were somebody else's fault. I believed that America was so inherently racist that I didn't need to mainstream. Over and over again, this was my worldview and philosophy. So I got very lost. I got distracted into very reckless living. Criminal activity, drug activity, sexual activity. I mean, I was in and out of the welfare state 7 years, 3.5 years consistently. And it wasn't until a Christian conversion that changed my life. It just totally changed my life, and bought in the idea of a biblical worldview that I should be responsible with my choices, that I should mainstream my life, that I should be self-sufficient. And that's when I began to develop out what we now call politically conservative philosophies and ideas. But it wasn't until I went into business that I became much more libertarian in the way that I viewed money, the role of money, and free markets. And I wanted then to remove governmental barriers over my own life and over my own business life, so that capitalism would flourish, but also for those that are the weakest link amongst us. I began to focus more on our impoverished situations and how we had socialism going on for them, and then in a capitalist society it just didn't work.